Okay, so we're going to start a new parak. That's on Ayam 70. Thank Hashem. Able to learn every day, and that's what we're learning. Basically, English immediately. So, unfortunately, not to follow. Okay, we're going to start Hamader Sishtei. Hamader Sishtei is someone that forbids his wife to have Milahaneslei. It's really to have benefit from him. He's forbidding his wife from having benefits from him. The why it's Milahaneslei. From him, not Milahaneslei sounds like to him. Whatever the case is Ad Lamed, we're talking about basically that he's not going to feed her. So Ad Lamed for 30 days, up to 30 days, we'll see if this means that he made the vow for 30 days or he made the vow indefinitely and then up to 30 days, this is what he does. So whatever the case is, up to 30 days, Yamid Parnas for those 30 days, he has to set up like a trustee or a third party that's going to feed her. Yes, he came, but more than that, Yetzivit and Ksuba, then he divorces her and he pays her Ksuba. She did nothing wrong here, right? He was the one that took this vow. And so, for whatever reason, after 30 days, we say the marriage is over. And he has to give her Ksuba. Rabbi Yehuda says, 1 second, depends. Be Yisrael, if it's a regular Yisrael, so Chodesh Echad Yikayim. So then that can last for 1 month. And Vishnayim, but once it's already 2 months, Yetzivit and Ksuba, then he divorces her. So it's not divorcing her after 1 month. Rabbi Yehuda adds an extra month because I don't know if he's really adding anything. I think that's what the Tanakama also understood. That the first month is the same. The difference is B'kayin Shnayim Mikayim Shleishi Yetzivit Ksuba. Rabbi Yehuda is adding that the Kayin, because he can't remarry her, so we don't want to make any mistakes here. So we delay this divorce for an extra month. That's the big difference. Not by the Yisrael, but the Yisrael seems to be the same. By the Kayin, we add an extra month. Shleisha, once it's the 3rd month, then Yetzivit and Ksuba, then he divorces her and gives her Ksuba. Because there's no return. He can't remarry her. Hamader is related to Mechan Mikala Peders, Yetzivit and Ksuba. Someone, the way the Gemara is going to explain it, right here, what it looks like is exactly what we said before, that he forbids his wife from eating any fruits. But what's really happening, the way the Gemara explains it, is that she takes a vow that she's not going to eat fruit. Now, there's 2 ways of reading this. Echad mikala peris means that she won't eat any single fruit, or it doesn't mean that she's not going to eat one of the fruits. I don't know, raisins. I don't know, whatever it is, pomegranate. She's not going to eat one of the fruits. I think that's the pshat. Then the husband comes along, and instead of annulling her vow, which he's able to do, he says, okay, that's a good vow. So he keeps the vow. So what's going to be the din then? So Yetzivit and Ksuba. Here we don't even give like a month. We don't give what happened at the time. What happened at the time? He divorces her right away. Rabbi Yehuda says no. He waits 1 day. And Shnayim on the 2nd day, Yetzivit and Ksuba, divorced her right away. Why is it so strict when it comes to fruit? Well, with the waiting, we're going to see. There's a discussion about if when we say 1 day or if we say 1 month, we're talking about that the vow was for 1 month, or we say the vow was indefinite, was forever, but we wait 1 month to see if he's going to annul the vow. So that would be, what's going to annul the vow? Well, he went to the therapist. It said, okay. Shnayim Yetzivit and Ksuba, on the 2nd day, he divorces her and gives her Ksuba. But by the Kayin, where we can't make any mistakes because there's no return, So Shnayim Mikayim, then he holds her for 2 days, and Shleisha Yaitzavit Ksuba. On the third day, he divorces her and gives her the Ksuba. The mother says if here again, the way the Gemara is going to explain is that the woman takes a vow that she's not going to put on any perfume or any jewelry of some sort. Skashet doesn't have to be meanness. Yeah, it could be perfume. Well, she won't adorn herself, and with a certain item. And the husband hears the vow and he says, "Okay, keep it. That's a good vow." Instead of annulling it, which he was able to. So Yotivit Ksuba, he divorces her and gives her her Ksuba. Rabbi says, "Baniyos shleinas and kitzvah." When do we say that he divorces her? That's only if the vow was taken in a way where it went on forever. She took the vow forever. But if she took the vow only for a certain amount of time, so a poor woman, Aniya, she could handle that if it's just for a certain amount of time. Because they don't always wear perfume, they don't always adorn themselves. So they've done this before, because they couldn't afford it. Not a big deal. However, Bashirais, if it's a wealthy woman, so then she's not used to going without adornments. So Shleishim Yom, then she only stays married 10 to 30 days. That's it. All right, let's see how the Gemara learns this. The Gemara, first we start off. There's a basic problem over here. He's obligated to support his wife. So how does he take a vow saying that he can't have benefit from me when it's really not up to him? Because he took a prior, he's already subject to this sort of debt that he has that he needs to support his wife. He can't just take a vow about it. Okay. Even the Meshuvah law, the Gemara says, so how could he take this oath? You have to realize that when we take an oath, usually you say, taking an oath, it's like you think we're dealing with the hot water. I'm going to put on I'm going to go on a diet. Here, he's making something forbidden on someone else.
Rabbi,
yeah.
The second and third case where it seems to be a little bit more strict, he's saying none of my fruit, or just no fruit in general?
I think it's any.
Fruit.
She's the one that took the vow in the second and third case.
Oh,
he's the one that's just agreeing to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. The vow is, but how does the vow work? Because I think they view it like this: like they created the world with speech, and speech is very important. They made laws. A Jewish person can also create certain laws with their speech. You can actually make something forbidden with the speech. Speech has that power. You can make something holy. You can designate it as the base of Mikdash. You can also make it forbidden on someone else. It's the power of the speech that he can make his own items forbidden onto someone. Right. So that's the Gemara's question here: is that how can you take a vow when the Torah says that you're obligated to support her? So the Gemara says, "Kol kaminei demafkalei l'shibude." Is that possible that he can just absolve himself of his obligations by taking a vow? But the Mishnah, let's say the woman would do it. Go the other side, like there's a sphere. If the woman would say, "I'm taking a vow that none of the work of my hands, none of my income should be permitted to you. All the work of my hands, all of my income should be like a sacrifice, like forbidden onto the husband." So that Mishnah, it's a Mishnah, we mentioned it before, it's a Mishnah Durham, I think, says, the husband doesn't even need to annul it. It's automatically annulled. It doesn't exist. She cannot say something like that. Now the husband can say that but I'm taking a vow that you can't have benefits from me. He's obligated to her, just like the work of her hands belongs to the husband. So the food of the husband belongs to her. There's Alma Kivan de Mishab delay. You see that since she is obligated to give her income to the husband, she can't just take it off with the vow. So Achanami, we should say the same thing. It's like elaborating on the question. Given the Mishubad law, since he's obligated to her, that it doesn't make sense that he should just take off the obligation by taking a vow. The Gemara explains, since the husband does have the ability to tell her that instead of me feeding you, you can keep your own income. And it's officially the husband's supposed to support her, and her income goes to the husband. The husband can say, let's just keep that separate. I'm not going to support you, and you buy your own food with your income. So if the husband says that, then that works. So if that's the case, so Nasa Kaimer, let's see my Siyadai from Messiah. We'll say it's as if he said that. Why? Because he took the vow. Okay, we're gonna have a few problems with this. We're trying to resolve this issue of how he was able to take a vow, but it becomes problematic. So he says, one second. We have a statement from Rav Huna Marav. We mentioned it before once. A woman can tell this to her husband. You don't have to support me, and I'm not going to give you my income. I'm not going to work for you. So Shani Yisrael she can say, so 1 second. So if that's the case, that a woman can also get out of the obligation of working for the husband if she says, you don't have to feed me and I won't work for you, I won't give you my income. So now back to the Mishnah in the Darim, if I forbid, the woman saying, I forbid on you the work of my hand. So we said in that case that the husband does not need to nullify the vow because the work of the hands belongs to the husband. She has no right to even say that. But if we say that when the husband says that you can't have benefit from me, even though he's obligated to support her, we come up and we say that just created an as if he said that you can keep your own income and I won't support you. So why when she says that I'm not giving you the work of my hands, why doesn't that create this as if she said that I'm going to do my own work and that you don't have to support me? Why doesn't it create that as if? So why does the husband not even need to annul the vow? Lema, let us say, because she is able to say that I'm going to keep the work of my hands and you don't have to feed me. Make it as if. If a statement that separates, that takes off this obligation, a vow that take off this obligation is because it becomes an as if. So it should work for an as if for the husband and as if for the woman as well. Ella leite manasa. Rather, don't say there's any as if. What happened over here in our Mishnah was ba'imrala, when he actually told her, he told her, do your own work, and I'm not supporting you. And then he takes the vow that it's forbidden for you to have benefit from me. Okay, we answered one question, but we've created others. We've sort of like messed this up. What happened? What was the halacha in the Mishnah when he says you can't have any benefit from me? For 1 month, he has to set up a trustee, the supporter, and after that, they get divorced. The problem here is that we said, how was he allowed to take that vow? He said, because that was the arrangement. She was going to work, and he was going to keep the sustenance. But then, if that's the case, then the halacha, the conclusion of the Mishnah doesn't fit, because the conclusion was, Ihachi, Parnas Lamala, why does he need to set up a trustee? The whole arrangement was that she's going to support herself. Gemara is playing out this possibility, then the halacha doesn't match. The Gemara says b'delay safka. Now we have like a nakimta. We have the scenario. The scenario here was that you're right. This was the arrangement that she was going to do her own work, and he doesn't really need to support. The only thing is her work did not cover all her expenses. So he needs to supply this trustee to help because he took the vow. He needs to. Gemara says ibad leisafka the kushin leduchta. If it doesn't cover her expenses, then you're really back at the question number one. Before we started this whole thing, we started to say that it's a nasaka imer, and there was an arrangement here. The question number one is, how could he take a vow when he has a prior obligation to his wife? The vow should be meaningless. It's not even his money that he's vowing about, it's her money. It's like indebted to her. He can't take a vow that it's not going to go to her. So we answered, well, they had an arrangement. We said we had arrangements, so why does he need to supply the trustee? We said, well, the arrangement wasn't good. So if the arrangement wasn't good, so then we're back at question number one, that the arrangement wasn't good. He can't take a vow. Amar Ravashi. Ravashi says, is that the pronunciation correct? Misapekas or maspekas? Maspekas. It doesn't cover her income doesn't cover the small items, but it covers all the big items. How does this resolve anything? Well, it says hani dvarim tanim hechidami. What are we talking about? Either regila behu, if there's small items that she needs because she's accustomed to, and when you take these little items out of her lifestyle, it becomes like considered suffering. So then a regila behu, then he's obligated to support her. We mentioned before in the Mishnah, how much support does the wife need? It said this amount of spending money, this amount of garments, this amount of food. Remember how much wheat, how much, we had a whole list of what everything is. So if that list was when we didn't have anything set of what she actually needs, that would be just the default. But if there's things that we know that this is what she's used to, and that's what's going to be required. So regilabu, be like regilabu, and if she doesn't need it, because she's not accustomed to it, so parnas lamala, then why do we have to set up a trustee? Yeah, that was also part of it. But here we're talking about when he took the vow that he's not gonna, that she cannot have benefit from him when she can't eat his food. So we said we set up a trustee. We said, but then how could he take the vow? How could he take the vow in the first place? I said, well, there are only small things there. But if the small things are necessary, so what does it do if it's big or small? What's the difference? Well, leitzricha dergila bebeis nasha. What's happening over here is that this is something that she was used to in her father's house. But she now, magalgala sounds like she's rolling around with him. It means she's going along with him, and she'll say, yeah, we can live without that because she's married to him. She's foregoing on what she's used to. The Amrlay, she says to him, until now that you didn't take that vow, galgilna bahada. I was rolling with you. I was hanging around with you, and I was happy. But hashta dartan. But now that you took the vow, I'm not able to roll with you, and I need to. I need the things that I'm used to.
The Roman word translates by lesser lifestyle.
Yeah.
Went down.
Right. She went down because she wanted to marry him, and she was happy to give up on that. But now he took a vow that she can't have benefit from him. So now she's saying, I don't want to give up that higher lifestyle if I'm not getting benefit from my husband. So now the Gemara says, so why do we give 30 days for this? Or maybe what the Gemara is asking is, why is 30 days the limit? Why is 30 days the limit? if she's getting everything she needs from the trustee, so why 30 days? That's probably what the Gemara is asking. The Gemara says, "Ad lamad yom leishami be'inshi v'leizila b'milsa." Tzvei sham be'inshi v'zila b'milsa. Problem is she's going to be terribly ashamed when people find out about their situation, where the husband isn't providing for her, but there's a trustee, and she has to go to the trustee to get her food, to get this. Now, up to 30 days, it could be just a temporary arrangement, and it's not embarrassing. But after 30 days, this becomes the talk of the town, and that's embarrassing. Then, therefore, she deserves a divorce. Iba Yisema, another teretz, she dira kishiyarusa. It's getting itself into a little problem over here. We're looking for a way of saying where he's not obligated to support her, and that's how he can take the vow. How could he take the vow? He's obligated to support her. The vow should be nothing. There's a prior obligation on him. So the Gemara says, well, he's not obligated to support her because they're only betrothed. So now the Gemara says, well, so then what's the problem? Does a betrothed woman deserve sustenance? She doesn't get sustained by the husband anyway. She's only betrothed. She's still living by her father. Till the marriage. Okay, jumping. Okay, so 1 second. The Gemara says, "Shigias man v'lei nesu." We're talking about that the time came to get married. Remember, we had this Mishnah that said that if the time comes to get married, the date of the wedding arrives, and the husband doesn't do the marriage, he's still obligated to support her. So what we just accomplished now was we're saying why he doesn't have an obligation to support her and why he's allowed to take the vow. So he says, so then why does he have to support her anyway? So the Gemara says, because the time came. The problem is the time came, so then how does he take the vow? So Umaysh not. So 1 second, there's a problem over there. Rashi answers the question. Rashi answers the question. The question is that if the time comes for the wedding, and now he is obligated to support her, then we're back to the same question of how does he take a vow if he's obligated to support her. So Rashi explains that midday raisa, when the time comes, he does not need to support her. That's only a rabbinic law that when the time comes, he needs to support her. What we're dealing with now is a vow that he took that's effective biblically, because he has no obligation according to the Torah to support her because he's not married to her, he's only betrothed. Rabbinically, he does have to support her. So rabbinically he has to support her, so we have to arrange this trustee. He takes the vow. So the vow is effective, even because the vow is a biblical law and the obligation is only rabbinic. The obligation to support is only rabbinic. Yeah, but not necessarily was there Kesubos. I think this is the only when there is Kesubos. So, right. The obligation of the Kesubos, in this case, is rabbinic because they're not actually married. Now the Gemara says, 1 second, we quote the Mishnah, the Tanan, he gives man v'leinisu, was mishlev b'truma, she can already start eating truma, and she starts eating from him when the time comes for the wedding, even if the wedding didn't happen. So if this is the case, this is not embarrassing that she has to go, she's married, and that she's going to someone else to get her food, a trustee. The wedding didn't happen yet. So it's not embarrassing like there's something going on with her and her husband. She's not married yet. So the Gemara says, so why only 30 days? It says, we say that a shliach would comply. The trustee would comply up to 30 days. After 30 days, he starts getting like, oh, this is such a hassle. I don't want to do this anymore. So we say that after 30 days, they have to get divorced or get married. And then the vow falls up, I guess. But no, maybe the vow doesn't fall up. Maybe the vow, because it wasn't in effect before, maybe the vow stays on because it had a time that it stayed in effect. And then they would actually need to get divorced. They wouldn't just get annulled just because he married.
get divorced.
Well, divorce from the betrothal. Yeah. Betrothal requires a gap. Liba Yisema, another teretz, Shidir Kshir Usavinissus. The vow he took the vow when he was, this is exactly the Gemara, took the vow when she was an Arusa. So the vow was effective because he didn't need to support her then. Then they get married because the vow already took effect. So now we give them 30 days because the vow was in place, because the vow was taken prior to his obligation. The Gemara says, 1 second. This is if she gets married to him, Hasabra Vikabla, she knew what she was getting into. Why are we saying that he has to divorce her and say, but this was in our contract that I wasn't gonna support you. I even took a vow. You know everything. It wasn't like a hidden stipulation there that she wasn't informed about. Why does he divorce her? Why can she claim that she needs a divorce if she agreed to this arrangement? Mar says the Amra, because she says I knew about this arrangement. I knew that he took this vow, but I thought I'd be able to handle it. Now I see that I can't handle it, so now I want a divorce. And she's able to change her mind about that. She says, I thought I could handle it, but I see I can't. Mar says, this discussion about I thought I can handle it, but now I see I can't. That's when the husband has some defect that she knows about before the wedding. And then a little while after the wedding, she says, I thought I can handle it, but now I can't. I realize I can't handle it. It's talking about a physical defect, not like foul language, or he smokes or drinks. And it's not, maybe. I thought I can handle it. Now I see I can't. So, but the Gemara says maybe that's only by a physical defect. But this arrangement, why would she think that yes, and then decide now that she could handle it? Now, no. So the Gemara says, the earlier answers were better. The earlier answers, we said that there was just small items that she was used to, but she thought she can live without because she's going to be married to him. But then now that she's not eating with him, but then she realizes that she needs her own lifestyle. So those are better answers than these answers after. Other Gemara says, we get into another issue over here. We're avoiding this problem, ignoring a major problem. He took a vow that he's not going to give her any benefit. Well, it's not. He's not going to. He vowed his items. He forbade his items from. He forbade her from enjoying his food. Well, the problem is that the Mishnah says, what does he do for the first 30 days? He sets up a trustee. Problem is that the trustee is basically a violation of his vow. He said that she can't have benefit, and now he's paying a trustee to give her benefit. Basically, it's okay. So it's coming through. It's a difference how it comes. He pays the store, he pays the restaurant, he pays the thing. It's basically he's having benefit. She's having benefits from him. So the Gemara asks, the parnas is not just a shliach, a proxy. That's called. It's exactly in place of him. So she's basically having benefit from him. What does this help? Rav Huna says, well, his expression over here was a little different. But he didn't actually set up or appoint a trustee. He said, if anyone was willing to support my wife, they won't lose out. So he didn't actually appoint anyone. He just said that they won't lose out, which means they'll end up getting repaid. They won't lose out, but it's not a shliach. Does you don't consider that a shliach? it's like this vague sort of shliach. You don't consider that a shliach, but we have a Mishnah, Mishum Mushlach Babar. Let's say there's a guy that's thrown into a big pit, can't get out. Maybe he's in prison or something. And he shouts out, he says, Kol Shemea Kailai. It's probably supposed to be Kaili, not Kailai. You have Kaili or Kailai? Kailai? It's so interesting. It sounds like Kaili. Anyone that hears my voice, maybe I'm getting it wrong. Why is it Mishal Mushlach Babar? It must be that it's not a quote of his words. It's like talking about what he says. It's saying in third person. And he says that whoever hears his voice, I thought this would be in quotations, would have been better. Whoever hears his voice, I'm sorry?
Yes, I got a question, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, every time they make a vow because they want to get divorced, what it was the meaning to make a vow, because
Why did he do that?
Yeah.
It didn't say that because he wanted to get divorced. He sounds like he's just a difficult person. And yeah. And the rule is that the wife can then claim she has grounds for a divorce because of the vow.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe he's a miser.
Oh, that's another thing, yeah.
Yeah. Miser, like a stingy person. You have to put on a label. Oh, you mean a mamsa? Mamsa, yeah. That's different. I'll get start labeling people. Yeah, I'm a miser. Okay. So Gemara says, one second, we're talking about now if someone appoints a shliach, but he doesn't really appoint him. He just says whoever like hears my voice, whoever's interested to support my wife will not lose out. So we say, oh, that's not a shliach. So the Gemara says, one second. Let's say someone does that with a get. The way a get works is you have to actually appoint the messenger to write the get, to appoint witnesses, to sign the get, give the get. It has to be all done with shlichus. It has to be done with the shliach. It can't just be anyone that hears my voice do this and then volunteers can come along. No, it has to be by appointment. So we say, if you're telling me that it's not a shliach, so what happens by the get? It says, over there they give the get. We see clearly that the person becomes a shliach. That's a problem. That would go back to us. That's a problem with the vow of creating this trustee. He's a shliach to support his wife, even though he didn't actually appoint the person. But that becomes. Gemara says, one second. Hachi hashta. Hasam kamar yichter. Hacha mika amar yazon. Over there he said, anyone that hears my voice should write. Yichter should write. Over here, does he say anyone that hears my voice should support? No, he says anyone that supports. He didn't give any command. Yichtiv is not, in grammar it's not an imperative, but it's still a will do or shall do. Shall, right? Shall is like an obligation. Hachami kama yazin, kalazan kama. He just says anyone that does. One second. Rama Rabami, we have a problem with this because Rabami says Bidleika hitira leimer kalamachame eda mafsid. There's a fire on Shabbos. Not allowed to put up the fire. You just have to save, of course, the people. If there's no danger to life, you're not allowed to put up the fire. And you're allowed to save food for 3 meals for the entire family and for the animals. You can tell people to come and take or whatever. But someone is allowed to say to non-Jews, he's allowed to say that whoever extinguishes the fire will not lose out. To the firemen. Yeah, that's permissible. Well,
We can't put it out.
but whoever puts it out, they won't lose out. I don't know what they would lose out anyway, but I guess time. You know, they'll get paid for the time. Well, the Gemara says, "Bitaleka." This is only by a fire. Lamute mai. What are you excluding? In other words, is this really a shlichus when you say anyone that does this will not lose out? We said by a dleika, by a fire on Shabbos, you're allowed to do this. Sounds like for other things, you're not allowed to do this, which means that it is a shlichus. And he's not saying yechabe. He says kol ha-mechabe. It's like kol hazan. Anyone that does, whoever does it. So my lemute mai lavim mutekia gavna. It's coming to exclude anyone that supports my wife will not lose out. That would be prohibited because he has a violation of to support his wife because he took that vow. Where it says lie, it's not coming to tell us anything about supporting his wife. It's just talking about Shabbos prohibitions. On Shabbos prohibitions, he's not allowed to do that. Only by a fire. So it says by a fire he's allowed to, but not by other things. On Shabbos, when it comes to a vow, they're more lenient. Why is the vow more lenient? On Shabbos we're machmer, so we made a gzeira about this. Okay.
On Shabbos, if you say this,
Right.
I think before meeting.
Yeah.
First. Done with the discussion. The cycle.
It finishes right here. This is basically it. Yeah. No, we're not done yet. We have another piece. Massive Rava. Rava has a question. If someone prohibits his friend from having benefits from him. No. He prohibits his friend from having benefits from him. The only problem is and he notices that his friend now doesn't have what to eat. I wouldn't call him a friend, I would say a fellow. The fellow doesn't have what to eat. And he doesn't want him to starve. So he goes to a storekeeper, Haragalasle, that he's accustomed to. And he says, that fellow cannot have benefits from me. And I don't know what to do. So who the storekeeper gets the hint. And he's the storekeeper then was like the restaurant owner. He provides food for the fellow that is starving. Then he goes back to the person that took that vow that he can't support him and takes money from him. That would be the only way to do it. Where he doesn't say anything. He just hinted that there's something going on. But in that case where he's mudar hana, it doesn't say whoever wants to feed him will not lose out. That's more of a shlichus. The Gemara says loimi by kama. It's actually meant the opposite. It meant not only loimi by kalazan ein mafsid delal makama. Kalazan ein mafsid. Whoever wants to feed him will not lose out. Is even better than this. Why? Because he's not telling a specific individual. He's just announcing in shul, whoever wants. So there's no appointment. Over here, Raval Hai, given the regular slave, because he'll come late. And since this is his grocery that he's always accustomed to, and he's going specifically to him, Mandamale zil havle es to me. Zil havle at commandam dummy. No. Dummy means similar to, right? It's similar to saying that go and give it, go and give to go. You go and give. Kamash Malan, that we say that it's not like saying that, even though it's like a direct appointment, we don't say that it's considered like a shlichus. Okay.
So now we're done. My question is a bit more. How some can be set up.
About that, like a gas. It wasn't. It was whoever hears my voice in that work. Over here, it's not considered. Over here, this is also a type of shlichus. We're just trying to avoid. So far, Kol Hazan in a mafsid is not shlichus. That's what I'm saying. Whoever does this doesn't lose out is not shlichus. At least for Nadarim. For Shabbos, it looked like an issue. Yeah, for Shabbos, it looks like it's a problem. Whoever wants to turn the fire on under the, under the pot, and the challah, and the fire went down. You can't say whoever wants to, and to the word goes, whoever wants to turn the fire on won't lose out. You can't say that. Shabbos, that would be considered sending them to do it. But, yeah. More lenient. Right. That's for a separate reason. That's because it's turning off is a malacha shein really good. Why do you put out the fire? Because you want to make you want the coals. You blow out the fire, so you let the coal. But when you're putting out the fire, at least that's was the mishkan, the origin of the malacha. When you put out the fire because you just want it darker in the room, something. So that's not the same original intent of what the malacha was in the mishkan. We say it's not the original severity. So you can use a guy, he's into a guy. But to turn on the light is a problem. Yeah, that's specifically by the fire. Okay, Kufa, we learned before. If someone takes this vow, and then from his friend, that his friend cannot benefit from him, and now his friend doesn't have what they eat. The storekeeper, the grocer, feeds the fellow, and then he goes back to the person that took the vow and he takes payment. He said that was allowed. They say let's say he sees that the fellow doesn't have a house. He needs to build a house. Sees that his fence broke down. Sees that his field needs to be harvested. He goes to the workers that usually work for himself. He says that fellow can't have benefit from me, but I don't know how to help him out. They do the work and then they come and take from him. Let's say they're on the road. And he doesn't have what to eat. And he can't give him food because he took a vow. He gives it to another person, to a third party as a gift. He gives it to someone else as a gift. And this person can take the food from the other person. Let's say they're just him and this guy alone. This is going to be tough. The guy's starving, and he took a vow that he can't have any benefit from him. So miniach al gabi sel al gabi ageda. He puts the food down on a rock, and he puts it on a fence. He says, "V'amar hariyan mufkarim lakol mishiach beitz." He says it's hefker, it's ownerless, and the person that can't have any benefit from now takes from the ownerless food, and that's acceptable. Rabbi Yossi says it's prohibited to do that. Amar Rava, my time with the Rabbi Yossi. Rava says, what's the reason for Rabbi Yossi? Where it says, the Beis Chayron. What happened over there was that there was If there was a person that he took a vow that his father won't have benefit from it, but then his son was getting married, and so he wants his father to come to his son's wedding. So what he does is he gives all of the wedding over to someone else as a gift. And so then the father will come because it belongs to the wedding food and all of that belongs to someone else, which is fine. But in that case, what happened was the person says, "You really giving it to me? You really? Okay, I'm makdish the whole thing." And if you say that I can't do that, then you didn't really give it to me. So this became a problem of, is it really his? If it's really his, then he should be able to makdish it. What's happening over here is that Rabbi Yossi is concerned about that case. So Rabbi Yossi doesn't let this fellow make it ownerless. It's really ownerless. You're really making it ownerless. He doesn't let them do that because then he's concerned about that other case where the person didn't really want him to be makdish it, so it meant it wasn't really ownerless. It wasn't really a gift to him. Okay. I don't know what the end of the story was there, but Rabbi Yossi is concerned about that story, and the Tanna Kama was not concerned about that story, and they said that it works. Right. Because how does it say it up there? In the present case, the sages are unconcerned by the artifice performed. Artifice means like the trick, right? While Rabbi Yossi is concerned with such artifice and therefore prohibits it. Means he doesn't trust it, I guess. Which has to be trust. Making it happen. Make your food happen. Yeah, that's why we actually have to sell it. Well, you have to destroy it. And that's the first sugya. So you have to search for it and burn it. Then it doesn't exist. Right? But we don't allow the making it happen because then you might end up finding something. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it over here. Have a good day. Shakaya, everyone.
Thank you.